This video is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease, but it's intended to help you guys, especially you guys with neuropathy. What's going on there? What's going on with type 2 diabetes? How does it relate to neuropathy? What are AGEs? What the hell is that? I hear these from my doctor. What is glycation? What can I do about all of this? What is the big picture and the story? Well, when it comes to type 2 diabetes, we know that you don't have insulin functioning well, right? You can't absorb sugar properly. And so you have a wide range of complications. And one of them is damage to your blood vessels. Sugar can bind to fat or protein, and then it can stick to your blood vessel walls, and this can reduce blood flow to all of the tissues in your body, your brain, your kidneys, your liver, all over the place, right? And so obviously that seems like a major problem. And what are AGEs? Advanced glycation end products. So advanced glyc is sugar, right? Glycation end products, that's exactly what they are. They're just when sugar sticks to things like fat or protein and then gets stuck to the walls of your blood vessels, and they don't work as well. They get harder and they're impeding blood flow, and also sugar can stick to your nerves. And when we talk about glycation, remember glyc is sugar, glycation, that can happen with blood vessels and with nerves, and it can reduce the function, can damage, cause dysfunction of nerves, right? And this can lead to neuropathy or peripheral neuropathy. You may have heard peripheral just means it's outside of the central nervous system, which is brain and spinal cord. And so it's nerves that are further away. Typically, neuropathy, this damage and dysfunction to nerves, occurs in the hands or the feet first, and then it can progress over time. So what can we do about this? And, you know, what's good for type 2 diabetes in general? Right? Talk to your doctor if you have diabetes, right? I hate saying stuff like that, but I have to. Instagram might take my video down if I don't. So you want more fiber, right? If you have type 2 diabetes mellitus, of course. Fiber is going to help to improve how you can regulate your blood sugar, how your body can do that. It's going to make you absorb the sugar more slowly. It's going to feed your gut bacteria, which affect hormone production and affect blood sugar regulation. One major hormone being insulin, which is released from the islets of Langerhans, the beta cells in the pancreas, right? So if you were curious, little science nerd. And so fiber is a good thing. Focusing on healthy fats, not having added sugar, not having a lot of sugar, right? And typically foods that might be good for other people are not as good for you that have sugar, right? And so high glycemic index fruits you would like to avoid, even though they could have a lot of antioxidants and be good for you. And we'll talk about why antioxidants are good here in a second. And we're going to have a lot of foods rich in antioxidants. But we have definitely more fiber, healthy fats, protein, and exercise, right? Not to mention probiotics. Probiotics could be helpful, or eating fermented foods like kimchi, natto, miso, tempeh, sauerkraut, kombucha, sour milk, all that kind of stuff. You know, if you don't eat a lot of that, at least take a probiotic. The Examine says at least 40 billion CFU. I say 50 to 100 billion CFU is even better. That's colony forming units, really how much of the bacteria, and combined with something that the bacteria can eat, right? Like polysaccharides or beta glucans or something like that. And they're really just simple little sugars that the bacteria eat, and they eat fiber mainly, remember, right? And then they produce things. And the things they eat we call prebiotics, right? And so anyway, so you have all that in, you know, general as a big picture for diabetes. And the video, you know, it's beyond the scope of this video to get really deep into diabetes and all the mechanisms and everything going on. But this is more for people with neuropathy, right? And realizing how diabetes can cause that and what you can do for it. So aside from exercise and aside from healthy fats and fiber, right, and focusing on protein, whole food from nature, nothing processed, nothing refined with refined flours or added sugars, all that kind of crap, right? We have a few specific types of foods that are good. And why are they good before we even talk? Either they have healthy fats, they have a lot of antioxidants. Antioxidants can help to repair your nerves. That's right, they can reduce this glycation, this sugar sticking to nerves and blood vessels, you know, over time. So know that if you have type 2 diabetes, you guys, it can be reversed. You know, it's not like type 1 where you're just not producing insulin and they're dealt bad cards, right, in the beginning. And that's a lot harder. And that's one reason, you know, we have a lot of sympathy for people with type 1 diabetes, albeit, you know, it is very manageable, more difficult to deal with. And you really can't reverse that with diet, right? You can do your best. But with type 2, there's a lot of hope for you. And if you have neuropathy, there's a lot of hope for you, right? And so there are other causes of neuropathy aside from diabetes. You know, it could be certain medications someone had by, negative side effects and all these things and a lot of things, but diabetes is the primary cause, and that's why I want to talk about that here. So in terms of specific foods and types of foods, we have fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, tuna, herring, sardines, anchovies, trout, all that kind of good stuff. A lot of healthy fats, omega-3s, great for your brain, great for your heart, great for your nerves, right? So we got fish, all right? Eat a lot of seafood, it's great stuff. Just don't have the really big fish, swordfish, tilefish, shark, all that kind of stuff, marlin, that's high in mercury. Typically bigger fish have more, and ones that live longer have more. So it's an easy way to kind of remember that. You want the smaller, really fatty fish. Those are great, right? All the aforementioned. We have fish. Can't emphasize that one enough. And of course, exercise and fiber, right? Aside from that, we have fresh produce, you guys. There's tons of different types of produce, things you can get. What are the ingredients of produce? It's just a thing, right? You get an avocado, it's just an avocado, right? You get an artichoke, it's just an artichoke. Get preferably organic, right? They don't spray them with as much stuff. Carrots, spinach, kale. These are rich in antioxidants and phytonutrients or plant compounds, you can say, nutrients in plants that can help to reduce inflammation and damage to nerves. And so they're great. And they're loaded with fiber, right? So bam, these are just great for so many different reasons. The fish doesn't really have the fiber, but it's got the healthy fats, right? And so we have fish. We have fresh produce, which is low on the glycemic index, but full of fiber, right? Meaning it doesn't have a lot of sugar, but has a lot of the good stuff that helps us process blood sugar better, okay? We have nuts and seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, all that kind of good stuff. That stuff is great. If I didn't say hemp seeds, yeah, those are good. Flax seeds, chia seeds. I love chia seeds. They have a lot of fiber, very rich in magnesium. I believe a tablespoon is like 100 milligrams almost of magnesium. Daily values, to put that in perspective, are like 300 something milligrams, depending, 300 to 400, depending on the age demographic. Average woman, I think it's like 350, adult woman, somewhere around there. But magnesium helps to regulate blood sugar levels as well, right? And a lot of other things, okay? So, I say those are good. And what about nuts? Nuts are good too, They could be really high in calories if you have a lot of them, so you can be relatively careful. Don't eat copious amounts of anything, but, nuts also. Pecans have the most antioxidants of any nuts. Walnuts and chestnuts are also great, and so are some other nuts, right? But those are definitely worth mentioning, okay? And so we have fish, we have fresh produce, we have nuts and seeds. We have, what do you guys think is next? Well, berries are definitely one of my personal favorites. They're so loaded with antioxidants, right? But let's talk about whole grains first before we get into berries. So whole grains are good, but whole grains have a lot of carbs. So I say really just quinoa pretty much is the only good one. You still want to limit that. You don't want too much. It has a lot of fiber, complete protein, meaning all the types of amino acids or building blocks of protein that your body doesn't make, which is rare in plant foods, that you need to get from the diet. That's why they call it essential. It's essential to eat them, right? You don't make them. And so that's good. Chia seeds also have complete protein, fun fact. But, I would say really quinoa and brown rice, but limit it, right? Could be high in carbs. Bulgur and durum and all that kind of stuff is, loaded with whole grains too, but, oats, but they could be very high in carbs. So somebody with type 2 diabetes, especially, I say, we're going to really limit those. And I'd rather you have things like chia seeds for your fiber, for example, or just supplement with something like psyllium husk on top of what other fiber you're getting. Berries are phenomenal. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, acai berries, goji berries, bilberries. What the hell's a bilberry? It's something that looks just like a blueberry. It has tons of antioxidants. And, those are a lot. Aronia berries, you can't forget. Aronia berries are very rich in antioxidants. Actually indigenous, to Iowa. Yeah, where I went to chiropractic school. So that's a pretty fun fact. One of my buddies works on a farm, and they harvest aronia berries. They're absolutely loaded with antioxidants, right? So those are some good things in general. What are some other foods that are rich in antioxidants or healthy fats or just are pretty good? Extra virgin olive oil is definitely going to be on that list. I have a shot every day, right? A lot of healthy fats, a lot of antioxidants, hydroxytyrosol, oleuropein, oleocanthal, and the names don't matter. You don't have to memorize all those. But no, that's really good for your brain and your heart and your joints, and also for your nerves, you guys, right? So, other forms of produce, of course, Red bell peppers are great, and they're really high in vitamin C and other powerful antioxidants. We didn't say Brazil nuts before. They have a lot of selenium. When we talk about nuts, that's a powerful antioxidant. Lemons, limes, cherries could also be good, right? So there's a long list of things that are rich in antioxidants. Tomatoes have lycopene, right? So these antioxidants exert a protective effect not only on all of the cells in your body, not only improve blood flow to your brain, not only help the brain cell membrane function better, right? We talked about that the other day with dystrophin and all these other things going on, how anthocyanins affect that, right? And that's basically something that just makes things come together, like ion channels and water and receptors for brain chemicals all together at the cell membrane, and improves the function of a cell, right? So they're really good, but not only do they do all that stuff, antioxidants, they also help to protect and repair your nerves. So don't forget about that. So what do we have in terms of supplements? And I mentioned this last. Why? Because it's always food and lifestyle first and foremost, right? Having whole food from nature, doing things that are just generally healthy, being less stressed, getting more sleep, eating whole food from nature, not having processed foods, added sugars, refined flours, all that kind of stuff really comes first, and then we have supplements, right? And so what do we got when it comes to neuropathy? Well, Alcar, that's acetyl L-carnitine, okay, that's one. Alpha-lipoic acid would be another one. N-acetylcysteine would be another one. Curcumin would be another one. Omega-3s, B vitamins, namely B1, 6, and 12. Other sources say B6 is the best. Vitamin C, and I think it's called benthiotamine. It's a synthetic form of thiamine. It's a fat-soluble form, which is, not what it naturally is, a water-soluble vitamin. But before mentioning anything synthetic, I like to say all the natural things first, but apparently that works really well. And, I would go for all the natural stuff that you could. First, don't forget about phytonutrients, things that you find in plants, and supplementing with plant compounds that have overall beneficial effects on health. That's what we got for you guys. It's a lot to take in, right? I know that's a lot of information in a relatively short time, but just realize, the big picture here is if you have neuropathy, if you have type 2 diabetes, these things can be reversed. And if you take all these measures seriously and you really incorporate them into your daily routine, you can make a difference and maybe reduce that pain in your hands and your feet and that dysfunction, right, that you've been dealing with for so long. Who do we got on here? Say hello to all my friends. Chris, what's up? Hey, yes. Dave. Chris Bryan, I love it, man. Alexa. Aaron. Oh, man, autoimmune disease. Well, whoo, we could do a whole video on autoimmune. Maybe I'll do that in the coming days or something, but when it comes to autoimmune diseases, they don't understand what causes these things. Etiology unknown. In other words, cause they don't know what is causing it, right? And why is that? I mean, nobody really knows. Nobody can really put their finger on it. But what's probably happening is there is systemic dysfunction. It's probably much more complicated than addressing one particular issue, right? You want to correct the system, the cardiovascular system, the nervous system, the digestive system. You want to try and correct how all of these things are functioning. And a great place to start is obviously lifestyle and just being healthy in general, right? Eating whole food from nature and all the things we were just talking about for neuropathy and for diabetes and all that stuff. And being less stressed and getting more sleep and all these things. But I can't promise that's going to cure anything. I'm not saying that, right? But on top of that, gut health. Look at gut health. I mean, there's immune dysregulation, meaning your immune function is not functioning properly. Your immune system is not. And that's what's happening with autoimmune disease, right? Your body's attacking itself wrongfully. It's mistaken. It's attacking what are really good things and trying to destroy them because it's confused, right? And so with gut dysbiosis, or an imbalance of beneficial and harmful bacteria, or not producing enough metabolites or things that are byproducts of metabolism regarding gut bacteria eating things like fiber and producing these metabolites like SCFAs, short-chain fatty acids like butyrate or acetate or caproic acid or valeric acid or propionic acid, they control your immune function, and they will upregulate or downregulate immune function accordingly in the body. And so, it's no surprise that I've had people with symptoms that the doctors, they can't quite put their finger on what's causing them, and they correct their gut health and their lifestyle and nutrition, and guess what? Some of them go away. Some of them may persist, but it's definitely something worth looking into, Chris. Who do we got? Sabia's up in a hazel on a Sunday. How you doing, baby? I'm such an idiot. I had so much fun with this. The H, Ma, I love you. You're the best. You have neuropathy also, Chris. Well, you know, maybe let's look at the big picture here, right? What's up, athlete? Wow. Lunaraf. Ash, hello, pretty girl. Yeah, fiber's probably the best thing, Ma, for type 2 diabetes. One of them. And not having sugar, right? So, Dundon Spice, Brandon Malone, Frank in the middle. Where's my shirt from? You know what? I got this at TJ Maxx. This is I think like a $9 shirt. I think it's Michael Strahan's brand. It's actually really comfortable. Yeah. Michael Strahan, I should be advertising for your ass. You see this? Telling the people what's up. Hoka, guys, Aldi, come on. When Wellness. We preach you all the time. How great you are all the time. They're never going to see this. Makeup, what's up? But that's okay. You guys are. RPS, AM Coach. Mortal, Turk. 7962, Tony. Thank you guys for the love. Thank you guys for trying to improve your health. Hicks on Kiss, J Flick, Berlin Bad, App State Jag. As for now, that's all we got for you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, baby. Not sure where, not sure when, but you're damn right we'll see you then. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday. Happy When Wellness. See you later.